Stanley Kubrick hired by NASA to stage the scenes and to show how the scenes were staged of the Apollo landing on the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great storyline.
It is. Well, you know, the number one script in Hollywood that hasn't been made into a movie is 1969, A Space Odyssey, which is kind of similar to what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about Stanley's travails making the Apollo footage. It's written by this woman who apparently is from Colorado.
Somebody, wait, I didn't know about this. Somebody already wrote about this?
Yep, yeah, it's the hottest screenplay in Hollywood that hasn't been bought.
It may not be either.
Yeah, exactly right.
Not for another 50 years.
But you ran an article that I sent you last week about how the U.S. Information Agency was looking for film directors in June of 1965.
Yes.
And even though Stanley had never really had a knockout hit at that point, they still included him on the list, which I thought was odd, because the other guys were all had big hits, Fred Zinnemann and Billy Wilder, you know, all the other ones.
Billy Wilder, Sunset Boulevard, Gloria Swanson, Eric von Stroheim. You folks don't miss that one. Don't miss All About Eve, Betty Davis, George Sanders, one of the most greatest films ever made, without question. Character studies. There were some really wild movies then.
Oh, yeah, the late 50s, they really started, in the 50s, they really perfected the acting. They weren't overacting anymore, and the cinematography was really good, and they finally decided that they could do those high contrast black and white movies.
Which is what All About Eve was.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I love those high contrast black and white movies. I'm just like it.
Very vivid, very vivid.
Yeah, and some great movies back then, and they recruited these guys for some reason right at the right time, June 1965. And I think what happened is that they were reviewing their films and talking to them, and they when they got to Dr. Strangelove with Kubrick and they saw the B-52s flying over Siberia, they went, I think we've got our guy here. I think this is the guy that can fake it. And I think that's when he got hired.
That's interesting and probably correct.
Yep.
Probably correct.
And Kubrick, you know, he was at he was writing 2001, which at the time was called Voyage to the Stars, with Arthur C. Clarke at the time. And I'm sure that he used that as leverage. He said, hey, I'm making a science fiction movie, and I will tailor it so that we can use it as research and development on how to fake this thing. And that's how it works. And the evidence is entirely building towards this being the correct scenario. And, you know, and again, I want to emphasize that I'm not saying we didn't go to the moon. I'm just saying that what we're seeing in these videos...
We could not afford to fail, all right?
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. The first one had to go perfectly. It had to work. That's why they did it.
Exactly.
They had to have insurance, and they got it from Kubrick's genius.
That's right. What they probably did is they shot the footage as insurance, and then Nixon got elected and took office in January of 1969, and they presented him with all the options, and basically said, he says,
Don't take any chances. No, we're not taking any chances.
Exactly. I'll be president 6 months, and I'm not going to have two guys dying of exposure on the moon because, you know, the thing clipped a rock when it was descending and tumbled, and now it's all broke.
Yeah. So what do we get? We got a lunar lander that landed with no crater underneath it. Very clever.
Yes.
They did miss a few things, I got to tell you.
Well, there's a famous, one of the things that's not very well known about Stanley was one thing that no one can argue with, of course, is that in that time, of all the film directors that were alive, no one understood the technical details of filmmaking like Stanley Kubrick. That was also a big-time director. Mm-hmm. He knew everything, how lenses work and everything. I mean, it's amazing. And believe me, it's a complicated art form. But one thing that he did was he took Polaroids on the set to make sure the lighting was right, and you get instant return on the Polaroids, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a shot, Apollo 14, I think it is, and there on the leg of the lunar lander are 2 Polaroids just sitting there.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just clear as hell that they're Polaroids. And, of course, it's 250 degrees on the surface of the moon, so
how
a Polaroid,
funny.
Yeah, it would just roll up and disappear.
Is that around somewhere?
Yeah,
you can send it to me?
I just saw the picture the other day. You Google Polaroid moon, LEM, not LEM, LEM, right? Yeah, LEM, LEM Polaroids, Apollo, and probably, that should be enough. A little digging down, you'll find that there's an anti-moon, anti-Apollo site that I go to frequently, that he has that up. And,
is it Apollo 14?
Yeah, I think it's Apollo 14, yeah. And there's Polaroids right there, which couldn't survive on the moon, by the way.
No
But
way.
NASA says, that's like torn aluminum or something on the leg of the thing, but no, it's not. It's got the jagged thing that you use to pull the Polaroid out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's got those on it. I mean, somebody just set them there. It was Kubrick, and he was constantly doing it. He was constantly trying to.
He left that behind on purpose?
Absolutely, he wanted everybody to know that he did. He had ego just like everybody else, and this was his best stuff ever. I mean. He could never take credit for it, so he left stuff all over to indicate. That's why he put all that stuff in The Shining, because he wanted to be known. I don't think he thought it would come this fast. I thought he thought it would probably take 50 years before people figured it out, but too late for that.
Really, I'm trying to find this. I can't. It's not easy to find. If
I have it bookmarked on my computer.
Oh, fine. Yeah, send it over to me, then I'll.
Yeah, I'll do it. I will. You'll see it. There's no doubt about it.
I'll put it up for everybody to look at.
Okay, good. I'll do it.
They want to see that. That's great.